All the cameras ready? Evening, everybody, and welcome to this Betway SA20 Season 4 Player Auction press conference. I think it's been a long day, but an exciting day for South African cricket, and we're all really excited for Season 4 to get going. We've got a media representative and coaches from the respective teams. Graham Smith, the league commissioner, will just give a wrap-up of the day, and then we'll open it up for questions to him, and then questions to all the team representatives. Thank you, Graham.
Thanks, Loretta. Evening, everybody. Thanks for hanging around, being patient enough to join us this evening. I think it's been a long day, but a successful day. I think congratulations to the coaches either side of me. I know the immense amount of hard work that goes into the planning sessions for an auction of this kind. I think, some standout bids today that certainly set records for Betway SA20. I think unprecedented investment in young players as well. Under 23s, I think over 22 million invested into young players in South African cricket, which is incredible. I think it was always going to be an interesting auction for us at Central when we carved up the regulations and forced the teams to relook at how they went about selecting their teams. I think it sets up well for Season 4, and I'm very, very excited for what's to come.
Thanks, Graham. Are there any questions for Graham? Yes, Nathan?
I'll say that again. Good day, Commish. It was earmarked that the record would be hit today. I mean, firstly, it was Aiden Markham, then it was Devil Bravers. Just talk us through that.
Yeah, I think in general, the marquee sets, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. I think there was some incredible bidding that was going on. I'm always reluctant to talk about the numbers, but it is exciting to see the investment back into South African cricket. I mean, this is investment that was never there. The franchises have come and they've invested properly. You see they're getting behind the South African players. But I think it's also a credit to how the players have progressed over the last 3 or 4 years. I think there's some proper talent. The platform that Betway SA20 has provided has not only benefited them here, but benefited them in other leagues and internationally as well. So I think credit to their performances. They've fetched the prices because they've performed well and they've stood out.
Any questions for Graham?
Graham, when you started the league, you started out. You said you from the beginning you want to be the second best league behind the Indian Premier League. When you see numbers like this and players go for the prices, do you feel that you're now getting closer, that you hitting those marks?
Yeah, look, I think everyone's trying to claim that, but I think in terms of delivery, performance, competitive cricket, viewership, I think we've started to really progress in the right direction to be, right at the top of franchise leagues based out of India. At various times today we were trending in India with what was happening at the auction. So that's exciting. I mean, I think for us, the platform that Betway SA20 has provided to players in South Africa, that puts a number of players on the global stage, not just those that are playing for the country, I think is exciting. I think, I touched on it in my speech, but I think the other great thing that Betway SA20 has been able to achieve is seeing, cricket revive in the country, fans coming back to the stadiums, and in particular when we are, certainly in Season 3, when you're walking around stadiums, the amount of new people that are coming to watch cricket, I think for me is one of the greatest things. We've got to grow the game in this country, and we need more and more people to come and enjoy themselves in our stadiums and watch on TV. So I think those are great things for us. And we know that, to be globally successful, you also have to be successful in your own country. So the support we receive is immense.
We'll have one last question for Graham, if there are any, and then we'll open it up to the team representatives. Sure, any questions for the team representatives? Yes, Nathan?
Sarif Ganguli, good day. I mean, what are you looking forward to in this SA20, especially working with the likes of a Sean Pollock?
Obviously, me and Polly have played all our careers together, along with Graham and Kumar and Peterson and my dear friend Flem. So we've spent a lot of time together. So it's always great to see them back and be involved in cricket. Polly in South African cricket, he's been a champion for them for years, and it's my first stint in South African cricket, which is a bit surprising. Being in India, not many Indian players playing here, nothing to be honest, and being involved. So that's what franchise cricket's all about. They keep people involved all around the world, and I'm looking forward to it. There's some great names on this table, some great names in the squads. There were great names at the auction today, and it's so good to see Jack, an all-time great of South African cricket. So it's a one way of being involved in the game and being a part of the sport, which you love so much.
Stuart?
Also for Saraf, getting Dewald, who's a Pretoria-born kid, back in Pretoria, which is a city that they're quite parochial over there. They love Pretoria sport. Was that a very important part of your process today? Because you also went in quite high on Aiden.
Yeah, it is, because as you've seen in IPL, the domestic players have a lot of value, and it's the same around the world, and it's the same in South African cricket as well. And you look at the domestic players who play for South Africa have gone in for a lot of money. It was always expected that Markram and Brevis would be, going for a lot of money because of the availability and the number of retention players. He's exciting. His game's gone better. We saw that against Australia in the recent series. In auctions, I never relate money with the quality of the player, because it's supply and demand. And we're looking forward to having him with us. It's a good wicket at Pretoria, at Centurion, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy it. There are a lot of good players from that part of South Africa, which I never knew before this, and I hope he does well for us. There's good feedback on him from the MI team, from the South African team, young, and he's someone we are looking for long term, because domestic players and retaining them is essence of all franchise. So someone like Brevis and even Esterhuizen and some of these young other fast bowlers. There's an under 19 young bowler, Majola. I think he's rated very highly, and he will get better with time. So as a franchise, we look at a whole lot of things, but happy to get Brevis.
Zahir?
To Saurav and Robbie. Saurav, obviously it was a bidding war between yourselves, and it was a bidding war between yourselves and Durban Super Giants. You eventually
It's JSK.
JSK, apologies. JSK, you eventually got to 16 and a half. How high were you prepared to go for him? And
Till Flem put them down. He got me out too many times when he was captain, and we went to New Zealand. In a green seaming pitches, he had fielders all over, and they kept decking around all the time. So this was an opportunity to beat him, and he went past him.
To Robbie, can you give us the reasoning behind releasing someone like Dewald Brevis? He was obviously massive for you guys last year, and we saw how popular he was today. Just what was the reasoning behind letting somebody like that go?
I think you only have a certain lot in your purse. You can't keep everybody that you would like, So we just pleased that we played a little role on his journey, and hopefully he continues his development as he gets older. Sort of alluded to the fact that he's going to be playing on some quality pitches up country, and I'm sure he'll continue to excite fans in the competition. He's certainly a player that brings bums on seats. So. Of course, we'd like to have a player like him, but that's not always possible in these auctions, and we just wish him all the best going forward.
Kumar, you went with, I think it was 9 specialist bowlers. We know how the pole track is quite slow, and a lot of people know about it, but could we perhaps see this season you playing 20 overs of spin? Because, Boland did it as well in the past season, the domestic season. Something that you'd be looking to do this coming season?
Yeah, I think we did it once last season as well. Pal is, the conditions are very different to the rest of the country. Most of the South African pitches over the years have taken spin a little bit more, probably Pretoria being the one exception. So we look to bowl a lot of spin. Batting is not as easy at Pal, so you want to try and bat deep. Of course, we'd have liked to have Brevis or some of the other players that went for a lot of money, but unfortunately we're way behind on our purse. So you try and work with the purse that you have. And like Saurav said, you don't really equate the spend on the quality of your team or the players that you get. And I think our players, when you look at a PAL-centric side, if you do well in PAL and well enough, then you're more often than not in the playoffs. So, that's our first target. So we want to play well at PAL, win at PAL, and then be good enough as a side to win elsewhere as well. So, so I think we've got the bowling plus the batting. Yeah, when you look at it, you can say, yeah, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, but that's the way auctions go, and we're quite happy with the side we built.
For Heinrich, actually, I know Mr. Chopra is not here at the moment, but I think one of the abiding images of today is him just sitting with his right hand in the air with a paddle up as the numbers went up on Aiden. Besides the obvious, why was it so important for Durban to get him?
The role that he plays, he's a great captain, great bowler, great batter, good fielder. So why don't you want a guy like him in your team? He just ticks all the boxes, and we needed a good captain. He's captained the Sunrisers to 3 finals, so yeah, that's probably the big reason. And I think obviously they've got a good relationship at the IPL as well, so it's probably the 2 main reasons.
I've got 2 questions, if that's fine. Graham, the one question which is quite topical at the moment is women's sport with the Rugby World Cup and that. Maybe you don't want to answer this at the moment. Obviously, England is pushing the game for women. Australia's pushing the game. India, it's massive then. Is it in the pipeline to have the women involved in SA20 and that we can create a platform for them? Because today was amazing. Graham, you've done a brilliant job. Just the fact that we can have these gentlemen in one room. I take my hat off to you. Brilliant job. I know you're not doing it alone, but you are still the face. Can you push the women's game going further? And then I have a question. That's fine. Oh.
Yeah, sure. Look, I don't know if I agree about the quality of person around the table, but far too many occasions on the cricket field. But no, absolutely. I think it's been huge to get. I think for South African cricket to get the quality of people back has been outstanding. And I think domestic cricket has struggled to, get the right type of medical coaching. The cricket thinking back into the game, and for the franchise to invest in the quality of people that we have around this table, I think is incredible, and an incredible asset for our youngsters and players coming through. Look, we seriously did look at this season in particular, how we could get started on a ladies program, but with the women's IPL being directly in our schedule, plus our women's pro Teas having a really, really busy summer, it just was a difficult one to get going, and we'll continue to look at it. I think, right throughout, I've said that we will be looking to invest in grassroots. I think, we launched schools, SA20 schools last year, which is, looking at this season, we're already over 700 schools, girls and boys, getting involved in that program. We've invested in under 19 girls camps. Some of our franchises have been incredible in terms of quietly, growing, our coaches, our women coaches behind the scenes, exposing them to IPL and various other things. So we're working alongside Cricket South Africa to create depth. And every year we'll look at the opportunity to introduce a women's program.
Thank you so much. And then Stephen, for you, you've been around the block. I don't think there isn't anything that you haven't done. How do you stay motivated to do another season of SA20, coming all the way to Africa and try and motivate the guys again?
I was really keen to watch an All Black test in South Africa, and it just coincided nicely. No, it's part of my DNA. It's a privileged job to be able to travel to places like this and be part of competitions that they each have their own personality. The auctions are very stressful, as these guys will testament to that. But it's at the cutting edge, really, of the game. And to still be involved in the game after years of being able to trade with it is something pretty special. And you get to see the new players coming through mixed with the great players of the now. And just be a part of something that you've always loved. And that's certainly what I still feel. I wasn't loving Saurav today that much. Even Sanga, you weren't great to us either. So there's still a bit of rivalry there as well that feeds down through the competitions, and the standard of cricket is going up. Identifying young talent is now really important, and spending 3 days with a lot of young players over here is a realization that the game is actually flourishing and there's a lot of talent to be picked from, and that's a great thing for world cricket, let alone South African cricket. So privileged position and delighted to be able to do it.
Yes, over there. And
Okay.
then just take the last few on the panel, please.
Thank you. Evening to everyone. It's Philip here from FMSA. I just have an open question to anyone in the stand that can answer it. Given the requirements for a minimum of 2 under-23 players, how are you identifying and accessing young talent in your scouting process?
I think Russell Domingo, Sunrisers assistant coach, will answer this one. Thank you.
I don't know. No, look, honestly, I think Robin and myself, we're fortunate we work a lot in the domestic system. I'm at the Lions, he's at the Warriors. So we sort of know who the young players are. I think I was just talking to Classy earlier about why South African cricket will always remain strong. It's because of our schooling system that produces so many good young players. I mean, up in Johannesburg, every year there are 5 SA under 19 players being picked. It makes my life very difficult, but there's a continuous turning out of players. And like a young Jojo Basson's been signed up. He's a Lions player, but one of the teams have signed him. So I think it's a great initiative to have those young players part of this competition. Quinn has come through it, another Lions player, and it's great to have them playing with some of the greats of the game. So I think the tournament's doing as much as they possibly can to make sure some young players are being given opportunities to learn and play with some of the best coaches that are around this table, excluding me, and some of the best players that are sort of playing in the competition. So for a young batter to batting with a Markram or a Stubbs or Klaasen is phenomenal. They're not going to learn that in 10 years of coaching, but batting for an hour with 1 or 2 of those players will make the world of difference to them. So I think they're doing as much as they possibly can.
Yes, Stuart?
This for Stephen, from a Super Kings perspective. The signing of Deon Forrester is a guy that had a lot of attention, even though he was playing Division 2 cricket a couple of years ago and has made a transfer again at the, in the off-season now. What attracted you to him?
We had 3 days solid where we were working with the young guys that Russ is talking about, and he just stood out, really. He had a nice temperament about him, but a number of players did. The quality of person there as well was great, and that's another sign of the schooling in South Africa. But it was a pleasure to work with those young players. There was 6, 7, 8, a dozen that you could have easily picked, so it was a case of just trying to identify the key things that we needed in the squad. And we lost a couple as well that we were pretty keen on today as well. So that's a big part of it. But he stood out. He looked very good. So the only question now is that temperament on the big stage when you're playing with the big dogs, making sure that, I guess our job is to make sure they are as comfortable as possible as young players. But it's a nice challenge to have.
Thanks. Zahir, to wrap us up, please.
Just a couple, just to Russell. You've got about 8 of Robbie's Warriors players in your squad there. Is there a single-minded message to get players to St. George's Park who know St. George's Park, who know the conditions? And did you come in with that mindset?
I think it's getting back because last year I had 6 of my Lions players and won the competition. Look, firstly, before I say anything, I just want to pay homage to Aiden Markram. He's led the Sunrisers magnificently well, and unfortunately we couldn't hold on to him. We tried our best within our budgets, and we wish him well because he's been an amazing leader for the Sunrisers. I think that the Sunrisers have always prided themselves on trying to get as many local players as possible. When you look at the stand and the people waving orange flags, there's a definite affinity to local players and a sort of feeling that we know that guy that's bowling there and we know that guy that's batting there, and it sort of has served us well in the past. We've been successful 1 or twice, been in the final on the 3rd time, and trying to keep as many of those players together is of paramount importance to us because it makes our lives as coaches easier. You don't need to bowl new relationships and get players to buy into a different school of thought. So trying to get as many of those guys back, the Jordan Hermans, Tristan Stubbs, all those type of guys was a big thing for us. So really pleased that a lot of the Port Elizabeth-based players are going to be playing for the Sunrisers this year, and I think that's hopefully going to serve us well going forward.
Thank you. And just lastly to Heinrich, you know a bit about big sums of money at auctions. Is there a message to a young Devil Brevis? How does he just cope with the pressure of every time he walks out to bat, he will be the most expensive player in SA20 history?
It's quite easy, to be fair. It's stuff that he's done to get him the price tag. It's not what he's going to do. All of the guys will know you can train as hard as you want. You can nick off first ball. That's part of the job. That price tag comes because what he's done in the past, and obviously his work rate and all the other things and boxes he will tick will obviously give him the best chance to perform. So that price tag is just a reward. That's what he's done. The next 3 years, obviously, I don't think they will release him. But the next 3 years is just the build up to the next auction and see what he can back then. But the price tag with what he got tonight is purely a fact that what he's done in the past and the potential that he can show.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and drive safely back home.
Thank you.